What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'm giving you my UFC 299 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, March 9, 2024. UFC 299 O'Malley versus Vera 2 out of Miami. Should be one hell of a card, just even from the prelims. I mean, this is one of those cards where it reminds you of the old days when they really stacked the pay-per-views. A lot of times now you just have so many Apex cards, so many fight nights that they don't get to stack the cards a lot. So you could see some of these fights on here were supposed to be like, you could see them being like fight night main events, co-main events, things like that. So that's always fun to see. Got a UFC debut in the bottom half of this card in the prelims from an Olympian. So we'll see how that goes. A Taekwondo Olympian. So that's gonna be a banger. Yeah, just even the women fights, you could argue, are gonna become pretty competitive and all that. So it's good to see. Like, one hell of a card. It's gonna compete with UFC 300. I think we'll see how it all plays out after it's all over. But just good card. Did pretty well last week, 8-3. So I like that. Right, that's always good. See if we can keep the ball rolling into the pay-per-view. And then next week I won't be doing a video. I'll probably write something up, maybe be a little bit quick, but still it'll be all the predictions, and I'll put that out. I think that goes into like the community tab or something like that. I'll have to see, but either way, I'll put something out. It just won't be a video, just with some stuff, family stuff and all that. Won't have the time, and then so I just won't be doing it. Also, for this video, I left down in the comment, not in the comments, in the description, I left a little bit more comments on each of the prelim fights. Nothing crazy, some jokes in there and all that, but still left my predictions and just commented a little bit on the fights just to give some insight. But either way, let's go ahead and jump right into it. In the first fight on the main card, we have Petr Yan coming with a 16-5 record, and he'll be taking on Sung Yadong with a 21-7 and 1 no contest record. So Petr Yan has just unfortunately been on the wrong side of these decisions. I mean, I guess he really did lose to Merab Dvalishvili. Just couldn't stop the relentlessness of the takedowns, I think. And there's the pressure. Just really was unable to get anything going. I mean, he did land some good shots here and there, but for the most, I mean, he defended, what was that, 38 takedowns. Okay. So, I mean, that is pretty impressive, man. Against one of the best guys, right, in the grappling and the wrestling. He did defend 38 takedowns. So, he has some pretty solid takedown defense. But he can be taken down. Whether or not he's going to get held down, I don't think he's going to get held down by Yadong. I think he could definitely get taken down, and vice versa. I think both of these guys could probably take each other down. But I don't think either one is going to be able to keep the other one down unless it's something just super apparent that like somebody's just better at the wrestling and then the grappling. Like Petr Yan, so you look at that one, unfortunate. You look at the one before that against Sean O'Malley, split decision, right? So one judge actually thought he won. He got outstruck significantly in the significant strikes, but he did land 6 takedowns. It is what it is, right? I mean, this just depends on how you judge the fight. Against against Aljamain Sterling, split decision loss, right? Sterling takes him down 2 times. Significant strikes were pretty close. Again, just depends on how you look at the fight. He does defeat Corey Sandhagen, which, in my eyes, is a pretty good win, right? I mean, when you look at what Corey Sandhagen's been doing after that fight, he goes on this little bit of a tear. So that's a good win. Let's not forget Petr Yan defeated Corey Sandhagen, regardless if it was by decision. Against Aljamain Sterling, the DQ probably was winning that fight. He landed 7 takedowns in that one. And if he didn't knee him on the floor, his whole entire future could be completely different. So that's just unfortunate for him. So when you look at that, I'm not seeing some guy who's just, oh, he's done, right? I'm not seeing someone in Petr Yan who's like, oh, let's count him out, right? He's just unfortunately ending up on the wrong side of a couple things. Like if he wins the Sean O'Malley fight, if he wins the Sterling fight, and then he wins the first time they fought, right? Then he really only has a loss to Merab Dvalishvili, which again isn't the worst thing to have, especially because he defended 38 takedowns, right? And he just, I mean, I don't know how else you can beat a guy who just keeps going and going and going. I mean, he defeated Henry Cejudo, right? Just with relentlessness, and then just the grappling, and then it opens up his striking, obviously. And so he starts lighting people up, and he has some solid power. We've seen him, that spinning back fist that got him into the UFC and all that. So that's a good decision to have, right? It's like, I could see it. And I think frustration is probably building up in Petr Yan. So you're going to probably see someone come out here who's really going to try to go after it. I don't think he wants to lose a split decision. He's probably going to try to go in here, try to do more, right? I think he's going to try to get a finish. And he's fighting a guy in Sung Yadong who very tough, right? We saw him in his last fight against Chris Gutierrez. Really just pieced him up on that one. You know, Gutierrez actually landed more significant strikes, but Yadong landed 2 takedowns. It was a good one. That was definitely a good fight. I think Yadong definitely hits a little bit harder. He does load up a little bit more on his shot, so he's probably going to land a little bit more damage. Like I think against Yan's a little bit more of a guy who is very technical. Both guys are very technical, but I think Yan is gonna try to mix in some grappling, but he's also gonna try to pop shot you, go after your legs. A little bit more of a volume thing than just knocking someone out with a big punch. Before that, he took on Ricky Simone, KO TKO round number 5. Good win for him. Simone was just unfortunately unable to get anything going. He did get 2 takedowns, but then Yadong defended the 7 other ones and significantly outstruck him, and then dropped him twice, and he ends up getting the finish late. Great cardio for both of these guys. Not really worried about it. Sung Yadong, he does have a loss against Corey Sandhagen, KO TKO round number 4, doctor stoppage. But Sandhagen was definitely landing a lot more significant strikes on that one. And Yadong, like I said, he does load up. He has not fought the level of competition that Petr Yan has fought. At least, he just hasn't, right? I think Yadong could probably win if he's finding success in close and he actually is landing these hard shots on Yan. But he's going to have to get in close, right? He's going to have to find those opportunities, and he might have to start defending, like, grappling and all that, takedowns, just pushing up against the fence even or anything like that. Yan's going to keep coming, right? He's going to be mixing in a variety of strikes, leg kicks, go to the body. He's going to be throwing a lot of jabs out there. He's just going to be trying to mixing it up. And for me, I don't want to count out a guy who's had some pretty close fights with top level guys, right? Especially like the current champion, Sean O'Malley, previous champion, Aljamain. It's not like he's getting knocked out or dominated, right? And even against Dvalishvili, I mean, he did defend 38 takedowns. So, he did get pieced up because of it too. But at the same time, it's like I'm not seeing a guy who's broken, right? And so when you look at someone like Yadong, of course, Yadong could definitely win this fight. But I think it's a tough one. I think this is a really good one. And I think both guys are really going to go after it. And you could see another split decision. But like I said earlier, I think for Yan, he's going to at least try to do a little bit more, just maybe so he can get something else. But yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Sung Yadong. I think that's going to be a tough thing to do, even though he's probably going to try to, just because you don't want to fight going to a split decision. He loses again. It's not even that he's bad. It's just he's ending up on the wrong side of the decisions. So for me, I'm not going to count out Petr Yan yet. I think he's a really tough guy, unless he gets absolutely annihilated, right? I'll count him out then. But for now, I think he might be able to hang. So I'm going to go Petr Yan to defeat a very tough Sung Yadong by decision. In the second fight on the main card, we have Gilbert Burns 22-6 taking on Jack Della Maddalena 16-2 in a welterweight bout. So this one's pretty good. Burns, very tough. He can eat shots. We saw against Chimaev, right? He's going to bring the fight to him. And then a guy like Maddalena who wants to fight in the pocket, I mean, Burns is going to have no problem doing that, right? He has good leg kicks, good body kicks, but he's very explosive. In close too, no problem throwing those big heavy hands. Overhand right. We saw him against Chimaev where he clipped him. So Maddalena has to definitely be a little bit careful. But throwing a lot of these base shots like Burns does, leaves him a little bit exposed. So Maddalena can definitely, if he utilizes like some head movement and just kind of gets out of the way and fires back, pop, like he starts ripping to the body, like he's going to overwhelm him. And if Maddalena can close that distance, be aggressive, he might be able to shut down Burns into making a lot of those mistakes. Early on, I think both guys are going to really be feeling out that process, right? Trying to get that range, because obviously Maddalena doesn't want to get too close early on. Burns shoots in for a takedown, takes him down, gonna go for the submission. He's gonna be in world trouble. So Maddalena probably might not run in on him like a crazy man too early on, but I do think he's gonna try to find that range, right? See if he can start whipping some shots here and there. But if they really go at it, like that's my thing too, is if Burns doesn't get put away, he might come back. Right, that's one of those things where Maddalena has to be careful that if he goes too crazy early on and close and he's not able to put him away, you might have a guy in Burns who now he's walking you down and he's pressing you forward and he's trying to land a takedown, or he's trying to land these big shots, because he'll eat a lot of this stuff. And so it'll be really impressive if Maddalena can take him out, because Burns doesn't really get taken out like that, right? He's fought top level guys in his past 6 fights, and he's not getting taken out like that. So, I mean, I guess he did get taken out by Usman, but it wasn't like a standing TK or anything like that where he got knocked out, but on the feet at least. But for Maddalena, like I said, man, he's gonna have to get in close eventually, start ripping the shots, and see what he can do there. Fast hand speed, great combinations. He's gonna have to put up the volume. I think both guys are gonna have the cardio. I'm a little bit worried about Maddalena just because I think he's never fought a guy that is gonna be able to eat a lot of those shots. So I'd like to see Maddalena pace himself a little bit early on, get that range, feel out what he's gonna do. Maybe he has to defend a takedown here and there. Second round comes around, then he really starts to go after it, and that's when I think they'll get into that firing range, and one of these guys is gonna get taken out. Whether that's Burns or Maddalena, we'll have to see. But for me, I'm going to go with Jack Della Maddalena to defeat Gilbert Burns by round 2, KO TKO. In the third fight on the main card, we have Kevin Holland, 25-10 in 1-0 contest, taking on Michael Page, 21-2 in a welterweight bout. So obviously, Michael Page is making his UFC debut coming out of Bellator, and he's fighting a guy who's literally kind of like a mirror of himself in a sense, just because Kevin Holland, both guys love the trash talk. Both guys go out there, give it their all. Both guys are very lengthy, a lot of that striking, a lot of that distance kicking. Obviously, with Michael Page, he's coming in with a lot of that karate kind of style, blitzing in, fighting. It's just really tough too. Even in his fight, we saw in bare knuckle fighting against Mike Perry, like that was a great fight, man. He showed some pretty good ability to endure a lot of the damage and all that. So Michael Page is tough, and Kevin Holland, oh, he's pretty tough. Now, the sketchy thing here is just because obviously we saw the fight against Stephen Thompson, and he ends up getting taken out in that fourth round. Was just unable to hang with him when it came to the striking. That's interesting to me, just because Page has that similar kind of style, and we've known they've definitely probably trained with each other, Michael Page and Stephen Thompson. And so there's a lot to take there, right? It's kind of like, how can he be a lot better? Because I think Page has the ability to snipe him and cover that distance very cleanly versus Holland, who, he comes in, throws some shots, but he can be hit, right? And that's kind of, to me, why he has unable to hit that next level. He took on Jack Della Maddalena, and he ends up losing a split decision. That was a pretty good fight for him. He actually landed more significant strikes, but I think he doesn't do the damage Holland. Holland's really got to land clean or get you down, and then he submits it with a Darce choke, right? He's got to hurt you. He's got to hurt you bad. Now, we've seen both of these guys not have a good night. Obviously Page has been taken out, but for the most part, he's only gotten taken out, lost 2 fights, right? So but then again, he's not fighting, in my opinion, who Kevin Holland's fighting. So this, although I can see Page already being in the UFC, this is probably going to be his toughest competition just because of who Kevin Holland's fighting. Jack Della Maddalena, Michael Chiesa, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Stephen Thompson, Khamzat Chimaev, Tim Means. Like, he just has that ability, Kevin Holland, to get in there against people on short notice, and he just doesn't care. So he's not going to be afraid, right? He's not worried. Like, obviously everyone has anxiety or whatever, but he's going in here thinking like, welcome to the UFC. So I think Kevin Holland's going to make this one ugly, and I think he has the ability to go in there and land some takedowns too. Now, Page has pretty good takedown defense. I think it was like 100%, whatever. But again, Holland's going to want to make this one ugly. He's not going to want to stay at a distance and get sniped, right? He's going to want to get him against the fence, make it ugly. It wouldn't be surprising if Page, like, one shot clips him or something. You know how that shit goes. It always goes like that. But what I'm looking for here is kind of like a back and forth war kind of fight where they're both taunting each other and just going at it. This has potential to be a really good fight, or it has the potential to be a really boring fight where both guys are hesitant to rush in on each other, and you kind of see some kicks here and there, but no one's really throwing anything, low volume, and it goes to like a decision. I think it has that potential, but then at the same time, if they both go at it and it's just like who clips who, or Holland's able to get him on the floor like that, those are more of the things that I'm looking for to make it an exciting fight. But we're gonna have to see, because Page, again, he's fighting a guy who, I don't want to disrespect Kevin Holland. I just feel like Kevin Holland, yeah, he's not top level, but he's gonna be a tough fight regardless, just because of who he is. And you underestimate this guy, and Page goes in there and he's unable to one shot KO him. Then you're dealing with Holland, who might make this one ugly, push up against the fence. Maybe he's going in for a takedown, right? And then it gets weird, because then Page is like, oh shit, I thought I was going to take this dude out. Like, he's kind of sloppy, or Steve, whatever he thinks he might do, it might turn into a war. And then, like, I'm not saying Page can't deal with that, but it could be one of those split decisions, right? A really good back and forth fight. Uh, it's going to be fun, man. Page has a lot of that blitzing power, right? That karate style. And he's going to go for the flash. And obviously, Holland's going to go for the flash. We might see some crazy back and forth talk, right? I'm just hoping it's not a stalemate where it's just kind of boring. So we'll see. But I'm not going to count out Kevin Holland, man. I think saying like this dude's going to go in here and get annihilated is kind of disrespectful. So we'll see if Page is really gonna come in here and make some noise in the UFC, or is he gonna get shut down the moment he steps into the octagon? So I'm gonna go Kevin Holland. I'm gonna take him to defeat Michael Page by decision. In the co-main event of the evening, we have Dustin Poirier, 29-8, 1-0 contest, taking on Benoit Saint-Denis, 13-1 and 1-0 contest in a lightweight bout. So for me, let's talk about Benoit Saint-Denis, right? Coming in here, 5 wins in a row, none coming out of the second round, right? This is a co-main event 5-round fight. And he's fighting a top-level guy. He's not fighting Matt Frivola. He's not fighting Thiago Moises. He's not fighting Ismael Bonfim, Gabriel Miranda. No disrespect to any of those guys. Now, he did lose his first fight in the UFC, significantly outstruck. Even though he landed 2 takedowns, he lost a unanimous decision. Okay, so I am a little scared, just because you never know at the end of the day when guys get knocked out like Poirier does. He's coming back 7 months later. Is he going to be able to go to war against a guy who's just up and coming, who literally has the nickname God of War, right? So he knows he's going in here fighting a guy who's going to be super aggressive on the feet, ability to submit people, wrestle people, eat some shots, keep coming. But he hasn't come out of the second round, so we don't know. We know Poirier can definitely go to a war, but will his chin hold up? So Poirier can obviously utilize grappling if he needs to. We've seen him submit people. Nothing new here. Great boxing. This would be, in my opinion, Poirier's first gatekeep type of fight in a long time, right? So they're giving him an up-and-coming guy. See what he can do here. Not bad, right? And so for me, I don't want to count out Poirier yet, because this is one of those things where you go, oh man, Benoit Saint-Denis is going to run in here and knock him out. And he might do that. I'm not saying he might come in here and head kick the shit out of him and just knock him out. But how many times, just like we saw with Rosenstrike versus Gaziev, just like we saw with that, it was like, oh shit, Gaziev's going to go in there and well, then he starts gassing out horribly, right? Because he's unable to get him out of there. And then we just see Rosenstrike piece him up for the next 4 rounds. And that was pretty much it. Like, he jabbed him to death because Gaziev was just out. Like, he was just out. Like, he had no cardio, and he was just eating a jab through the entire fight. So that's my thing here, is like, oh, Poirier, he's done, man. He ate that big shot and he got knocked out. It's all over. And then he goes out here and maybe he has a tough first round, but then he starts to pull away because Saint-Denis isn't able to get him out. So I don't want to count out Poirier yet. It is a 5-round fight. We'll have to see if Poirier can get out of that first couple of rounds, because we've seen him get hurt before, but we've seen him hurt some people. And I think Saint-Denis can be hit, and that's kind of one of those things where he could go, oh, it's super aggressive, and then boom, he just eats some shots. Because let's not forget, Poirier has some good boxing. And he can throw his own head kicks, man. He can throw his own leg kicks and bring the pressure and threaten with his own. Defensively with submissions, he could definitely go for that. So, yeah, let's not count out Dustin Poirier just yet. But if he does go in there and he does get clipped and he gets put away, might be seeing the end of an era for Poirier. So that would be a little sad. But I just feel like with Saint-Denis, like he's gonna go out there thinking he's gonna kill him. Poirier is gonna have a like competitive striking. He'll go after the leg kick. He'll defend a takedown, or put him in a bad spot with like defensive submissions. Get back up, and then Saint-Denis is gonna be like, whoa, and then he'll start to tire a little bit, and then Poirier will be ready for a 5-round fight, right? And then we get into like the third round, and Saint-Denis is a little bit, oh shit, man. And then he starts swinging sloppy, gets clipped, he gets put down, and we're like, oh, okay, Poirier, maybe he's getting taken out by top level guys, but he's not getting taken out by these up and coming guys yet. So I'm gonna go Dustin Poirier. Very well aware that he could get taken out early on, but let's see what he's got one last time. I'll go Dustin Poirier to defeat Benoit Saint-Denis by round 3, KO TKO. In the main event of the evening, we have Sean O'Malley 17-1 in 1-0 contest, taking on Marlon Vera 21-8-1 in a bantamweight title bout in a rematch for the second time. So Sean O'Malley, unfortunately, in the first one, I think he had the leg injury, then he got finished on the floor. But due to the leg injury, which I think was caused by Vera, one of his kicks. Now, is that going to happen all the time? Obviously not, right? You're kind of not going to bank on that in the next fight. But for Marlon Vera, in that first round, it's like, okay, he's eating some shots, right? Like I mean, not the first round. In the first half of the fight, I keep forgetting it wasn't the second round or anything. But in the first half of the fight, Marlon Vera is definitely eating some leg kicks. Like we can keep that real, right? He looks like, oh, and then you're kind of thinking like, oh shit, he's eating some. Then he starts throwing his own leg kicks here and there, right? And it's like this dude needs to get woke up, right? Like he has these moments where it's like he just needs to get hit a little bit, eat some shot. Oh, okay, I'm in the fight. Okay, let me start. And then he starts going at it and stuff like that. So now he ended up losing, which I think is insane. This one I can't defend. Marlon Vera ended up losing a split decision against Corey Sandhagen in a fight where he was significantly outstruck via significant strikes, 128 to 58, right? Okay, that's not close. And then Corey Sandhagen also was able to land 3 takedowns out of 12. So I understand he did defend a lot of takedowns. We can give him that. But I think even in the striking department, he got shut down. But still, he didn't get finished, right? And he even went for a submission attempt, but he didn't get finished. So that's a tough fight, man. That's a good one. Against Pedro Munoz, he kind of just showed why. Like he just showed like, hey, I'm the better striker, right? You're not gonna be able to just brawl with me and throw these big shots, and it's just not gonna work. Great fight. Marlon Vera, cardio for days, right? I think he definitely has a cardio for days. Really, in my opinion, what showed that was his Rob Font fight, where Rob Font is just finding a way to land all those significant strikes, but it didn't really matter because Vera's just piecing him up, dropped him 3 times, unanimous decision. I mean, that 5th round, that was kind of the fight where you're thinking like, oh shit, like this guy is different, right? He's definitely a little bit different. And that was the one where I thought like, oh, he could be a title holder one day. But then he loses to Corey Sandhagen. So Marlon Vera, if he survives the first round, I think can start to give O'Malley problems with the leg kicks, with the timing, right? Firing back with the striking, not kind of just being a guy who's going to shoot in for a takedown. Now he can, right? And he might, and he can grapple, but I think his best avenue to victory is if he can get out of that first, second round and start to fire back with things, right? If he's chipping away at O'Malley's legs, normally, no injury, normally firing back with shots, also utilizing a jab, utilizing the combinations, being in the fight still second, third round. I think he can make this one very competitive, and I think it could be a competitive fight. Now, that being said, O'Malley is going to try to snipe him, whether that's with heavy leg kicks, heavy body kicks, heavy head kicks, big overhand right? He's going to try to find his range and piece him up. Like, that's what O'Malley probably wants to do. But he's going to need to get Vera out of there, because if he doesn't, I think it could either go to a decision or something could happen in the fourth and fifth round. That being said, obviously I'm aware that O'Malley is very tough, right? Naturally the bigger guy, which I think why he finds a lot of success in this division, just like Conor found a lot of success at featherweight. But again, O'Malley is going to need to find a way to take Vera out early on when he is trying to get to that point of getting comfortable, because early on you could hurt this guy. Like, now granted, Vera isn't getting knocked out, right? He's losing decisions, literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights that he's lost inside the UFC are all by decision. So he's not getting like annihilated, you know, and he's fighting top level guys, right? And he's dangerous. He has his own kicks, but he needs to get deeper into the fight to start showing things. And again, O'Malley just needs to land one shot, probably. Who knows? Maybe not, right? But again, Vera has fought him before. Vera has probably studied him. They've both studied each other. And Vera, I think, is going to keep the fight competitive, man. Now, granted, now I say that, and that means O'Malley's going to one-shot KO him. Probably, right? That's probably what will happen. It'll be like a spinning back kick to his head and just kill him. But if that doesn't happen, I really do feel like Marlon Vera is an overall great fighter, and he could make this one the most competitive fight. Very technical striker, great cardio, nasty elbows, right? Good jab, good power behind his jab, heavy kicks, right? So I think Vera is a good fighter. It's just a matter of whether or not Vera can find that range, start to do the work, right? He's gonna have to eat a lot of those shots, like we saw him in the first fight. He was eating a lot of those leg kicks go to the body. It was like, oh shit, like god damn. But then he started picking it up a little bit. So the longer this fight goes on, the more in favor, in my opinion, for Vera. Now, obviously, Sean O'Malley could change the way he's fighting and improve and all that stuff. So O'Malley could come out of here, he's taking him down, right? Like, you always see stuff like that where you're like, what the hell? Let me saw it with Conor where like he ends up getting some takedowns and stuff. So they're always improving. But again, Vera, I just feel like this aura right now is like Vera's kind of trash or something, and I'm like, what? Like he's never been finished inside the UFC, and it's like he's fighting all these guys that are very dangerous. And against Pedro Munoz, now granted, he didn't knock him out or anything, but he showed why he is not in any sort of decline, in my opinion. So I think this is gonna be a competitive fight. A lot of pressure is on Sean O'Malley to get this win back, to show like, oh, the first one was a fluke or whatever. So yeah, for me, I'm gonna go Marlon Vera. I'm gonna take him to defeat Sean O'Malley by decision.